And okay, so Marco, you'll start out with the past, and then I'll go on the flip side of the future.
The question?
Wait, no, we're past their future.
Yeah, no, they'll ask us past, and then we'll ask them about the
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
Alright?
How do you think the setting and the culture would change if your book was set 50 years earlier?
So, my book personally, I think if this was 50 years earlier, I think like it would like the stealing and everything would be magnified. Like, cause 50 years ago, like if you really think about it, the laws wouldn't be as strict.
Okay.
And then like I mean everything would just like be like really different from the way they're doing it. Like
Even now, they didn't have cameras. Like 50 years ago, they didn't have like
Yeah,
any technology.
exactly.
Like even 20 years ago, they didn't have cameras,
Mhm.
right? So like I think as you said, the stealing would be amplified. A lot more crime, like
crime,
for
yeah,
the
exactly.
situation, just because like it's really hard to catch people just because there's no DNA testing, all that other stuff.
Also, discrimination will be worse, right?
It would be worse, yeah,
discrimination
because
would be worse.
because
That would be
there'll be
worse.
like assault, right?
Yeah.
But no one would know who it is, because like
Exactly.
I think for most people like back then, they just didn't care. They didn't pay attention to any witness. It was like, oh yeah, I just saw a person.
That's the flip side to it, because like in my book, as I was talking about, there's racism as well, right? So that part of my book would be amplified. Like there would be more racism and like more resistance against like, because she's black as well, there would be like more resistance against her and like stricter
Yeah.
like measures for her. So that's another part of
Completely
it.
agree with that.
But because of the technology aspect that Michael brought up, like stealing per se would be easier for her. And like in this book, she talks a lot about like rules that she's made for herself,
Yeah.
like in order to be like a successful thief. And she has a lot of those. So I think if this was 50 years earlier, she wouldn't have as many of those. And like there would be like simpler rules, right? Because there's a lot of things that she has to do in order to like dodge the police and stuff because of how advanced like they've gotten in terms of catching thieves, right?
Like, I guess from my book, I think most people can agree that back then, like years and years ago, being gay and lesbian was just not a good thing.
Exactly, yeah.
It was just like it's not accepted.
Yeah.
And I guess now as like time goes on, people
Got better.
it's gotten better. People are accepting it more. This I think my book was like set around a few years before this, just before like the whole like I guess like the whole movement for like LGBT LGBT movement. So I don't think that there was that much support, but I do think that people didn't like just out you out there just because you're gay.
Mhm.
But yeah, if it was 50 years earlier, I'd say like it would have been a lot worse, because I feel like they could have done like they did some pretty bad things in the camp. Like some kid had to cut off his genitalia because he was just went crazy and everything. But I do feel that if it was 50 years earlier, it'd be a lot worse, because I think the punishment and all the actions would be more justified
Yeah.
back then, because
I
people
agree.
just didn't care.
Yeah. So you guys are reading Escape from Camp 14.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that would be different in 50 years, like from now, in the
because
future?
because we already know what happened in the past.
Yeah.
So it's,
What do you think the future would look like for you guys?
I think in 50 years, I think South Korea and North Korea will be unified.
Mm-hmm.
it would be okay.
Life will be better. Yeah, life will be better. And there will be no restriction or repressive governments. But but there's another possibility they still are not unified. But if, in my opinion, even if we are not unified, I think the life will keep a little better.
Will be
Because
better,
for
yeah.
example, like communism, like there's no like country with full like complete communism, right? There's like socialism because it doesn't work in a part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's the same thing. Like people in the North Korea will start to know about the other culture because they are like taught what the government want to, and everything brainwashed. But like if as time goes by, people will know more about it, and there'll be better government maybe, and there'll be less repressive and things, and yeah, maybe the country could get wealthier, people will get fed more, and yeah, that's it.
But how likely do you think it'll be unified?
If
what
they
what-
could be unified, it will be
That would make it think like a lot better.
a lot
No,
better.
no,
But
like how I'm asking like how likely is it? Like, do you think it's like is it super
it's
likely? Is it like
it's not really like a very possible because the economy with the
Yeah.
South Korea and North Korea are very different.
Yeah.
And of course, the leader is a communist, like he's a dictator.
Mhm.
It's not really easy
Yeah,
to make it
to make
unified
it like
and make the
better, yeah.
people. It's not really like it sounds really good, but there's many disadvantages, many bad things could
Yeah,
happen.
that's true.
And first of all, the leader of the North Korea who want them, of course, they want the communism, right?
Uh-huh.
So they will want the South Korea and also be communism. We don't want that, of
Yeah.
course.
Mhm.
And that's like a difference in opinions, and all those things makes it harder to be unified.
Also, another thing I think is because your book is like they're being held in a camp, right?
Uh-huh.
That would be different as well in like 50 years from now.
Yeah,
'cause
that-
there'd be
they
more
could be,
resistance, like to them
uh-huh.
being like held in a camp.
They could be washed up, no, like get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think like they would have the ability to actually like form a camp where they can physically keep these people in there.
All right.
Great discussion. Let's get out of here.
Somehow feel it.